All right. Hopefully this is working. Vinyl Word with Howlin' Blind. Second episode. Vinyl. 9/25/2016. Now, some of this stuff that I'm going to show you is stuff I've gotten in recently here in the last week. Some stuff that I bought weeks ago at Goodwill. Things like that. Some really good stuff. And some of it has been inspired by some of you guys out there. Flipside CT, Barca Pub, who has a ton of information on dead wax and stuff like that, which I'm very interested in. So let's get started. The Vinyl Word with Howlin' Blind. First record, Kenny Rogers in the first edition. Something's Burning on the original. Now, we used to have this. Now, I mentioned a couple times, I've been listening to records, buying records ever since I was a kid. And we had this back when it first came out, and I think it's 68, 69. This copy is weird, though. It's got an SKAO number on it. Can't find it on Discogs listed. So this was, even though it was on Reprise Records, it had something to do with Capitol Records. There's the inner sleeve. This is back when Kenny Rogers was good. Not knocking his country stuff out loud, but this is back when he was good. Kenny Rogers in the first edition, Something's Burning, and I think it's Love. Some earlier finds. Me and Mr. Mayo was talking earlier on one of his videos about Sandy Nelson, the drummer. Picked this up a couple weeks ago at a Goodwill. Sandy Nelson, I don't really know a whole lot about him. He's a drummer and has some great musicians, probably studio guys backing him up on songs like Kicks, Good Lovin', Gloria, Hey Joe, Monday Monday. Some really good stuff. All instrumental, old early rock and roll. On the Imperial label, I don't think I'll look this one up, but very good record. Around that same time, I also found this. Now, I got a friend of mine that makes fun of me for this, but Juice Newton. I like Juice Newton. She was good back in her Capitol days. Some big hits. Hey Baby's on here. This is a Capitol reissue, of course. You can tell by the hype sticker there. Pretty good record. I like Juice Newton, I must admit. So I'm at this Goodwill, and I run across this record, and I hear the name Larry Hovis. You guys ever hear the name Larry Hovis? Of course you have. If you've ever watched Hogan's Heroes, well, back in the 50s, he made records. Songs like My Heart Belongs to Only You. Just as Exposing. Just some old standards. Larry Hovis. This is a pretty good record. He was soft-spoken on Hogan's Heroes, and kind of soft-spoken here. Capitol Records, excellent condition for 49 cents. All right. You know, vinyl contains all kinds of good stuff. It contains country music, rock and roll, blues, jazz, and comedy. Cohen Country, Byron Cohen, on RCA, really good shape. Probably played maybe once or twice when, back in the early 60s, everybody got together and said, hey, let's hear this new record. Well, after you listen to it one or two times, the humor wears off because you know all the jokes. And I can't admit that I laughed at every bit of this. But it's pretty good. He's got some pretty funny stuff. I used to see him on the old Ed Sullivan show back when I was a kid. Myron Cohen, it's not a question. Big fan of Glen Campbell. I showed a Glen Campbell in my last video. Picked this one up. Hey Little One. Now, I thought this was an earlier one, but obviously not. It's a great record. Of course, he's got I Want to Live and Let Live. bunch of all of his albums usually has maybe 2 of his big hits on it, and then a bunch of filler stuff, which Glen Campbell does a fantastic job at. He was part of the Wrecking Crew, of course. Now, in a later video, I'm going to do just a Glen Campbell video, because I got some great Glen Campbell. By the time I get to Phoenix, Wichita Lineman, Dreams of the Everyday Housewife, we had most of this stuff when I was young. How many people ever heard of Rick Wakeman? Hopefully you all said yes. Rick Wakeman. The 6 Wives of Henry VIII. Rick Wakeman, of course, keyboard player with Yes. 49 cents, can you believe this, on A&M Records. You know, whoever had this had some great taste. This is like some early prog. You know, it's a lot like Yes. That's just stuff, all instrumental. Rick Wakeman, 6 Wives of Henry VIII. I'll never forget, years and years ago, when it first came out, my brother came home with the Jimi Hendrix album, Band of Gypsies. This, of course, is a reissue on 180 gram vinyl. Excellent sound. I still want to get a copy of an original copy of this with the In the Dead Wax and RL. Robert Ludwig cut the original master down. He didn't cut this one, of course. But this is a really good sounding record. Really good sounding record. It was done by Capitol, mastered by Capitol. And it's got the old green Capitol label that the original had. Buddy Miles said that he was working with Jimmy to get him off drugs, get him back into music. This is one of the best live Jimi Hendrix albums you're ever going to find. Great record. But I still want to get an original pressing and compare the two. Let's talk comedy again. I love these guys. These guys are great. Homer and Jethro, live at the Country Club. Of course, they've got Chet Atkins on guitar. They've got Boots Randolph on saxophone. And they got Floyd Kramer on piano. These guys are funny. Funnier than hell. They even got Archie Campbell doing the introduction. This was just recorded somewhere down in Nashville. Heartbreak Hotel. That's Hartbrake Motel. Heartbreak Motel. They're just hilarious. Man, would you stand up? Maybe somebody will recognize you and take you home. All right. I'm pretty sure everybody is an old Creedence fan. I remember when they first came out. I remember my brother first brought home the Born on the Bayou album, which I've got that and Cosmos Factory over in the stack. I'll bring that stuff out later. But I remember when this first came out, Centerfield, John Fogerty. It is old. It's just like Creedence. Centerfield. Big Train to Memphis. I remember reading in Mix magazine when this came out that he thought he could make records the way he did, back in the 60s and early 70s. But he was using a digital board on this, and when he's listening to the back on Big Train from Memphis, he heard a background singer that he didn't record. He thought it was the King. But he said, of course, it was just a glitch in the electronics and the digital board. Centerfield's John Fogerty. All right. Speaking of Bob Ludwig, he cut this, and the band. I don't think this was their first, but this is the one that had all the stuff that I remember on it. Rag Mama Rag, Across the Great Divide, Up on Cripple Creek. Excellent condition. The cover has got a little water wear to it, but the record was in good shape. I think it was $6 off eBay with shipping and everything, so I can't complain. But the record itself is in excellent shape. Now this is for Barca Pub. You're just talking about the West Montgomery and the Montgomery brothers. I got to find some of their stuff, but I've been a West Montgomery fan ever since the early days. I started playing guitar in 1967. You really got into jazz about 78, 79. This album, this is one of those Verve albums where he does the covers of pop tunes, but Bumpin' on Sunset. Fantastic too. Very, very simple. He taught himself how to play guitar. Octave guitar player. And one of my big dreams is to one day is to own a big Gibson L5 West Montgomery model. I think this was like $5 off of eBay. Original price, and on Verb, black Verb. Good record. I went out yesterday and did a little vinyl shopping. There's a little place downtown Jeffersonville here, and they sell records like $2 a piece. You got to check them out about once every 3 or 4 weeks, because somebody always dumps off their record collection there, and in most cases 10 or 12 of them end up in my possession. But I got there kind of late. But I got this band Starwood. Now I listened to this last night. Never heard of these guys before. It's on a Columbia, it's a demonstration record. Looked them up on Discogs. Not a whole lot of information on them, but they do list this out. But this is a pretty good record. Pretty good record. Come out in the 70s. I don't even know if they're on YouTube. Look them up. I like this vinyl community thing because it reminds me a lot of back when I was younger. Me and my buddies, my brother, and all of our friends, we'd all go out and we'd buy records, and we'd meet up and get together and just play records and see what everybody bought, and you know, and just sit around and listen to music, man. That's what it's all about. Vinyl. Starwood, not bad. It's not bad. Foreigner, Dirty White Boy. Now I used to have this when it first came out, and I'm not sure, but I think it's a. I'm not going to take it out. It's got a white label on Atlantic, so I think it's a demo record, but I'm not really sure. Dirty White Boy, Head Games. But you know, I had this when it first came out back in the 70s, and I think I've mentioned the story many times. How I've got rid of all my records like a dumbass. Vocal Ion. I used to always think this label was old, but it's not. It was out in the 60s. The Mills Brothers, who of course recorded for Decca, Vocal Ion was a subsidiary. It was their lesser expensive, because I've seen some other stuff on Vocal Ion, even some Buddy Holly on Vocal Ion. Mills Brothers. Now there's only 10 songs, but if you want to hear 3 guys singing with great harmony, and another guy playing a big body jazz acoustic guitar, this is very good. Smoked a cigar to this last night. This is a great album. All right. How many of you guys remember Spike Jones, the comedian from the 30s and 40s and 50s? Well, in the 60s, he always had a great band. Doodles Weaver, who was also on Andy Griffith one episode at least, and he was also, Doodles Weaver was also in the movie The Birds. He played a small part. But you know him better from Fetal Bomb. Anyway, Spike Jones started recording for Liberty Records in the 60s. Now this is, they claim this is like his second or third of this series. All serious music, swing, or Dixieland, I should say. Dixieland jazz. And the way he does Dominique, you know, the one by the Singing Nun, you've never heard it until you've heard it by Spike Jones and his new band. Oh. A lot of you guys were showing your Frank Zappa records. Inspired me to go out and buy this. I've had it. I bought it when it first came out. Great record. Frank Zappa, One Size Fits All. Saw him in Louisville, Kentucky many years ago. Twice. 2 different shows. The first time I saw him, he did not do Dynamo Hum. He refused. And I may tell the story later. But the second time he did it, which came off this album, great album, Camarillo, Brillo, I'm the Slime. That's why we don't watch TV anymore, folks. There was another guy up here, I can't remember his name, was doing a record cleaning video, and he cleaned this and played a little bit of it, and I remembered it from back in the 60s when we had it. Johnny Winter, Second Winter. Side 1 and Side 2, and Side 3. Side 4 is Blank. This was recorded in Nashville, Tennessee at Columbia Studios with Johnny's brother Edgar playing keyboards and saxophone. If you like good blues, this has got to be in your record collection. Johnny Winter, great slide guitar player of the early days, and it just inspires me to get more stuff by him. Great guy. Let's talk country. Just got this in a couple days ago. Pride of Charlie Pride. This is a great album. I got this because we used to have this when I was younger. My brother ended up with it, and I don't know what happened to it after that. Got it at a good price. I think it was like $3 or $4 shipped. Pride of Country Music on RCA Victor Records, the orange label. Getting close to the end, folks. One that I had many, many years ago when it first came out, Mystery to Me by Fleetwood Mac. This is pre-Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham, and also post Peter Green, Bob Welch on guitar. Hypnotized. That is one of my favorite songs still of all time. I want my band to do it. But there's some other great stuff. Bob Welch and Christy McVie do all the vocals on here. She does some, he does some. Great album. Everybody wants a fortune for it. I finally found it for $5. Alright. I was going to save this one later for a Locals albums. But she was local, but the other two guys weren't. Peter, Paul, and Mary. Album 1700. Great record, great shape. Warner Brothers, green label. With Leaving on a Jet Plane, written by John Denver, and one of my favorite tunes that the band does do. Believe it or not, my blues band does this song. I dig rock and roll music. That's one of these stuff. I remember when it first came out on the radio. Two more to go. I bought this one because I liked all the songs on it, but wasn't sure if I should have bought it until I played it over and over and over. Patti Page, Golden Hits on Mercury. It's the red Mercury. Discogs shows the first couple pressings on the black label. Tennessee Waltz, which was written by Pee Wee King from Louisville, Kentucky. Change Partners, Crossing the Bridge, Old Cape Cod, Mockingbird Hill. This album is fantastic. Still in the shrink. 49 cents at the Goodwill. Last one. Found this for 49 cents at the Goodwill. From the movie, well, the song is Baby the Rain Must Fall by Glen Yarborough. This guy is just great on the original black RCA Victor label. Glen Yarborough, great folk singer, great guy. He was on the Smothers Brothers. I think that's where he got his start. I think he was on the Smothers Brothers. I think that's where, I'm almost positive, but he has some great stuff. Honey Wind Blows and Baby the Rain Must Fall. Alright, that's it for right now. You guys keep your videos coming. Leave some comments if you would. I appreciate it. I love vinyl.